On the eve of the wedding, he pinned me down on the hospital bed and said to me with a smile, "You're tough, draw some blood to save her and the child." The doctor spoke up to stop him. But he sneered and said, "She won't die, she's got resilience in her bones." The people in the ward burst into laughter upon hearing this. "How much to draw? 1,000? 1,500? Bet on how many milliliters she can endure. Brother, teach us how to raise this kind of naive sweetheart? Always at your beck and call, without crying or fussing." What they didn't know was that I had already agreed to a family-arranged marriage. In 10 days, I would board a private jet and leave to marry someone else. I had 1,000 milliliters of blood drawn, my lips turned purple, and my hands were as cold as a corpse. The nurse wanted to stop, but Adrian kicked away the force stand at the bedside. "Draw another 500, keep it in reserve. If we draw more, she'll go into shock." The nurse was sweating anxiously. Adrian didn't even blink. "She won't die, her life is tougher than a cockroach." Finally, they drew 1,500 milliliters, and everything went black before my eyes as I fainted. In a semi-conscious state, he yanked the amulet from my neck. It was a chain, a family heirloom. I desperately clutched the other end, my nails digging into my flesh. Adrian pried open my fingers and said coldly, "Luna, this is what Celine specifically asked for. Do you deserve to wear this?" I understood. In his eyes, I was only fit to be his shoe rag, a stepping stone for his messes. I remember once when I blocked Celine from entering the house. Adrian stripped me naked in front of the entire neighborhood, took photos, and posted them at the gate. I stood there, neither crying nor cursing. I just gently let go and said in a hoarse voice, "Adrian, I wish you and Celine grow old together." Adrian frowned, his face even fiercer. "Don't go crazy. I said I'd marry you, and I will. Be obedient, and the title will still be yours." As soon as the amulet left my body, I felt like my soul had been drained. Everything went black, and I collapsed. When I opened my eyes again, my face burned with pain, a slap making my ears buzz. Adrian held the now blackened amulet, his eyes glaring as if he wanted to devour me. "Luna, you made this thing to curse Celine and the child to death? How did I not see that you're so vicious? This amulet was a life substitute. It cracks upon leaving the body." I was no longer his lucky star by his side. I had no strength to lift my head and turned my face to the corner. Adrian suddenly yanked me up and flung me, my back hit the tiled wall, jarring my internal organs out of place. "Apologize." Before I could finish, he grabbed my hair, dragged me to Celine's feet, and pressed me down hard. My forehead banged against the ground, 10 times, 20 times. Blood covered my face, flowing from my brow to the tip of her shoe. Celine stepped back half a step in disgust. Only then did Adrian release me. "Oh, you can really bleed? Truly indestructible like a cockroach. You used an evil object to harm her? Do you deserve that? She's carrying my own son. You should have been kneeling to ward off disasters for her long ago." When I was pursuing Adrian before, I used to say every day, "I'll protect you for a lifetime." When he went bankrupt, I sold my ancestral home to fill his gaps. When he was kicked out of his family home, I knelt before the elders to plead for him. When he worked overtime until midnight, I stewed soup and delivered it, squatting at the door waiting for him to finish. When he wanted to go back to Celine, I smiled and said, "As long as you're happy, I'm satisfied." Over these 5 years, I exhausted my life fortune in exchange for his one sentence, "I'll marry you." Now, with blood all over my head and face, I grinned. "I wish you both many descendants and a life to 100 years. Adrian was stunned, his gaze drifting away, not daring to look at me. "What are you pretending to be pitiful for? You're a lucky star, who dares to touch you?" Just as I wanted to prop myself up, the family doctor pushed the door open. Upon seeing me covered in blood, he was startled. Adrian shoved me aside and pulled the doctor toward Celine. "Quick! Check if that dirty thing Celine is wearing will infect her." He picked up Celine in one swoop and walked out without looking back. As he walked, he shouted, "Burn everything in this room. Don't leave any trace of bad luck." The servants hid in the corners, covering their mouths and snickering. Even I felt it was absurd, like a farce. The wedding date was chosen by Celine because she wanted to walk the red carpet, arm in arm with Adrian, as the bride. As for me, I'd wear a bridesmaid dress, stand aside, and finally, after they got their certificate, secretly go with him to the Civil Affairs Bureau to add my name. After all, Adrian had said, "Luna loves me to the bone, why would she care about those superficial things?" I dragged my exhausted body back to bed, and my phone vibrated. The family's private jet would be at the airport tomorrow morning at 10. I breathed a sigh of relief and was about to reply, when the door was kicked open. Adrian stood at the door, his face dark. "What are you looking at?" I subconsciously flipped the phone face down on the sheet. As a result, a strand of hair was yanked hard, feeling like my scalp was about to tear. "Celine is so sick, and you're still playing with your phone?" Adrian's voice was extremely low. 2 bodyguards pounced, their hands like iron clamps pressing my limbs, nailing me to the bedboard. I kicked and struggled, my throat filled with hoarse whimpers. The doctor stood aside, his voice trembling. "Adrian, Miss Luna just lost blood, her anemia hasn't recovered. Drawing bone marrow again, it could really kill her." Adrian didn't even lift his eyelids. "Shut up. She's like a living bodhisattva, drawing 2 tubes of bone marrow from her, and Celine will be bouncing around. Today, you only recognize one patient, and that's Celine. You have no right to worry about others." The moment the icy needle pierced, my teeth chattered, but I didn't even have the strength to scream. He actually leaned down, using his fingertip to wipe the cold sweat from my forehead. "Endure it, once Celine gets your life fortune, her luck can bear the pain for you." I didn't open my eyes or speak. I knew in my heart that all this was a joke. After the bone marrow was drawn, I was like a blood-drained paper doll, struggling to even breathe. At that moment, a muffled sound came from the master bedroom. A drop of blood seeped from Celine's blanket. Adrian suddenly gripped the doctor's wrist. "Continue. Don't stop." "No. She's almost done for." The doctor was sweating profusely on his forehead. Adrian's hands were shaking, his teeth clenched tightly. "She has the Song family's seed in her belly. Tell me, who is more important?" I gasped, after drawing, "Let me go." Adrian was stunned for a moment, his gaze lingering on my face for half a second, as if he wanted to say something. But in that second, a coquettish call came from the master bedroom. Adrian didn't even turn his head and turned to leave. 3 days later. I barely opened my eyes and saw him sitting by the bed, holding a bowl of hot porridge. "Awake?" Adrian casually brought the bowl to my lips. I turned my head to avoid it. He paused, placed the bowl on the bedside, and asked, "Where does it still hurt?" I didn't answer, just stared at him. "Where's my phone?" Adrian remained silent. He took it out from under the cabinet and handed it to me. The screen was densely packed with unread messages. All from home urging the marriage. Asking about the wedding date, guest list, wedding dress styles. Every word said, "You promised, don't go back on it." Just as I wanted to type, Adrian suddenly spoke. "Luna, how long do you want to make a fuss? I promised to marry you, what more do you want?" In the past, if he poured me a glass of water, I'd want to cry. Now? I couldn't even be bothered to lift my eyes. "Aren't you going to check on Celine?" I asked him. Adrian's gaze hardened, as if slapped, he smashed the bowl and turned to leave. I quickly grabbed the phone. The family thought I had run away. The marriage partner was Ethan, who held power in the Fu family. They had even prepared the betrothal gifts, just waiting for my nod. I quickly typed, "I won't go back on it, wait for you to pick me up." Just as the message was sent, the door was kicked open with a bang. Adrian's face was ashen, he stepped right in front of me, enunciating each word. "Luna, what else do you have to confess to me?" My heart constricted, and I hurriedly stuffed the phone under the pillow. Could he have discovered it? Seeing my appearance, Adrian sneered, his voice like a venomous snake coiling around my neck. I knew it, you're deceiving me. You're not a lucky star at all. All this is just a ghost story you meticulously fabricated to cling to me, isn't it? If you could really bring good luck, why hasn't Celine's condition improved at all after drawing so much bone marrow from you? Celine lowered her head, tears pattering onto her knees. Blame me. Maybe I'm just naturally unable to bear good fortune. Adrian embraced her in one motion, his voice so gentle it could squeeze out water. Don't talk nonsense, meeting you is when I truly lived. He had said the same words to me before. But now? I laughed, my throat tightening, yet tears slid down on their own. Adrian, I've used all my life's luck as your stepping stone, don't you know that in your heart? His gaze wavered for a moment. Celine immediately clutched her belly and screamed. Ouch! The baby kicked me. Adrian immediately leaned over, pressing his ear to her belly, his mouth grinning like a young boy just starting to date. My chest felt stuffy like a stone was pressing on it. I closed my eyes, not wanting to look anymore. Adrian glanced at me, his tone like ordering a servant. There's a dinner tonight with old clients, you must come with me. As soon as he finished, the butler came in carrying a gown and laid it flat on the sofa. Wear this tonight, change and wait for me downstairs. My legs still hurt so much I couldn't lift them. But he didn't even glance. In the private room. All were Adrian's old patrons. He sat at the head, Celine nestled beside him. I was arranged next to her. Someone whispered secretly, I heard Adrian is completely changing wives? At the table, Adrian proudly introduced Celine. The crowd coaxed her to toast. He waved his hand, she has a child in her belly, she can't touch alcohol. Luna, drink for her. Adrian remembered she couldn't drink, but forgot that I couldn't either. I limped over, and someone hesitantly asked, Miss Luna, is it okay? Adrian didn't turn his head. She's tough. She can bounce back after bone marrow extraction, what's a bit of alcohol? Luna, don't spoil the fun. I sneered. Remembering the last time I blocked alcohol for him, with gastric bleeding lying in the ICU, he held my hand and said, in the future, whoever dares to force you to drink, I'll cripple him. And the result? The cruelest one was always sitting at the head, personally ordering me to drink. I picked up the decanter, one bottle after another. Adrian's brows twitched twice, and he suddenly stood up to stop me. But Celine suddenly screamed. It hurts. So painful. This smell, it makes me want to vomit. Adrian's face turned pale on the spot. He snatched the bottle from my hand and smashed it hard against the glass window. Bang! Shards flew everywhere, like exploding ice crystals, stabbing straight into my right eye. Everything went black before me, and I fell into the sharp debris on the ground. In the blur, I saw him pick up Celine and step past me without even pausing. When I opened my eyes again, my eye was wrapped in gauze, blood vessels like spider webs plastered on the retina. The doctor said, the fragments aren't large, you're lucky. If it was 1 millimeter deeper, you'd be blind. No matter how much it hurts when changing the dressing, don't cry, crying too much won't let the wound heal well. I nodded. It wasn't that it didn't hurt, I just couldn't cry anymore. Even if I cried, no one would care. On the day the gauze was removed, Adrian came. He stared at my face and said, that day really scared me to death, after all, that's my child. But you've recovered pretty much. I didn't speak, lowering my head to continue folding the wedding dress. Seeing I didn't respond, Adrian hugged me from behind, his voice sickly sweet. So eager to prepare for the wedding, are you looking forward to being my wife? I nodded gently. Yes, quite eager. But what I was eager for wasn't marrying him. It was eagerly disappearing completely from his life. The day before the wedding. Celine tugged at the wedding dress waistline while muttering, why is this belly getting bigger and tighter? I knew I shouldn't have eaten so much hot pot. Adrian nodded absent-mindedly, but his gaze kept drifting toward me. Suddenly, he rushed over in one stride. He snatched my phone, almost flinging it to the ground. Brushing your phone every day lately, who are you chatting with so enthusiastically? Adrian's brows twisted into knots, his voice cold. I shook my head, no one. Adrian reached out directly. Fooling ghosts. What's the password? I hesitated for 2 seconds and said, the date you said that day you'd only marry me in this lifetime. Adrian tapped a sequence rapidly, but the screen didn't light up. He tried 3 more times, still black. He glared at me and threw the phone back into my arms. Open it yourself. I didn't move, just looked up at Adrian like that. He avoided my gaze, excused himself to try on the suit, and turned to leave. Then, a wrinkled bridesmaid dress was thrown directly at my face. Celine wore a sparkling custom wedding dress, standing tall like a proud peacock. Luna, Adrian said it himself, the real wife can only be me. Why are you still lingering here? Do you really think you're still a treasure? Speaking of which, when your dad passed away back then, it was really tragic. Do you know who sent the photos over? She grinned. It was me. Photos of me and Adrian, sent to your dad's hands. He didn't even recognize you as his own daughter. By then, we had already been sleeping together. All his tenderness toward you was an act. Everything went black before my eyes, and my hand suddenly clamped onto her neck. The next second, I was flipped to the ground, my occiput hitting the wall. A buzz, and my ears were full of echoes. Are you crazy? Adrian rushed over roaring. Celine clutched her belly and cried. Don't scold her, Adrian, she's a lucky star, how could she harm us? Adrian's gaze darkened. My heart chilled. The next second, he flung a piece of paper, smacking it onto my face. Lucky star? You fucking lie like this, thinking I'm a fool? The paper had words from a mumbling old man. This woman carries misfortune in her fate, those near her will all suffer calamity. But he forgot that year. He knelt at my doorstep, hugging me and crying, you are the light in my life. Beside him, Celine immediately sidled over. In a low-cut evening gown that dazzled the eyes, she cooed softly, Adrian, let's go toast. He pushed her away in one motion and took out his phone. No new messages. No replies. Not a single one. His heart suddenly felt empty. Probably because these days, I had been too quiet. Unlike before, when he casually gave a bad look, I'd eagerly approach, not even daring to shed tears. Now, no sign of me, not even responding to messages. He sneered, embraced Celine, turned around, and while walking, shouted at the assistant, fine, learn to act aloof? Go buy some things and send them to Luna's room, don't let her go hungry. In his heart, I could never escape his palm. The following week, designer bags piled up on the bedroom sofa, necklaces and rings filled the drawers. And he, every night, held Celine to sleep. Until the 5th night, he drank too much, stumbled, and swayed to the room door. The door wasn't locked. Moonlight leaked through the curtain seams. On the bed lay a person in a silk camisole nightgown. Skin glowing white, breathing light as a feather. His step sank, he pressed from behind, lips brushing the ear root. Luna, when you're not making a fuss, you're fucking endearing. The person stiffened, humming softly, Adrian, it's me. He suddenly released, snapped on the light. Celine shrank in the quilt, hugging herself, eyes red-rimmed. She never came back at all. I just wanted to see the bed she slept in. He stared at her, throat tight. Stay if you want. But don't enter this room casually. Celine nodded, not a tear dropped, but her hand clenched the quilt corner tightly. After sending her back, his chest felt blocked by a ball of fire, burning uncomfortably. He picked up the phone, stared at that familiar number for a full 10 minutes. Finally, he sent, Luna, stop playing this game. Tomorrow night's company dinner, you must appear. Celine can't touch alcohol. That night at the banquet, he was like crazy. Sorry, the number you dialed is temporarily unavailable, dial again. Still couldn't get through. Dial again. At that moment, two women at the neighboring table whispered, "Tisk, Luna is really lucky, dumped Adrian and directly married into the Fu family." Heard the Fu family wedding banquet lasted 5 days and nights, trending all over the city. Adrian's ears perked up, he turned sharply. "What did you just say?" The whole room instantly quieted. "Adrian, you don't know yet? Luna and Ethan's wedding news has been trending for a while." Adrian lowered his head and opened his phone. "In the photo, I wore a snow-white wedding dress, veil fluttering in the wind, smiling brilliantly. Standing beside me was Ethan." All sounds in the room vanished. Adrian stood like a hollowed-out statue. The next second, he rushed over and snatched the car keys from the driver's hand. He pushed through the crowd and rushed out without looking back. Behind him, Celine screamed heartbreakingly, but he couldn't hear. The room was full of unopened gifts piled like a mountain. On the table was an old photo. Adrian grabbed the frame, his knuckles white. "Why, didn't you say you'd die for me? Luna, you're fucking mine. Book me a flight immediately, go to the Fu family now." Adrian didn't finish speaking before rushing out the door. He didn't even take his coat, keys thrown on the sofa. As soon as the door opened, Celine was standing there, with a big belly. "Adrian, are you really going to abandon me and the child?" Adrian's temple vein throbbed, his tone dropped 8 degrees colder. "Don't make a fuss, rest assured and nurture the fetus. I'll bring Luna back myself." Celine's voice trembled. "If she really loved you, would she leave so decisively? That fortune teller was obviously scamming money, have you lost your mind?" Adrian interrupted her. "She didn't deceive me. The money-taking thing, you think I don't know? Don't take me for a fool, Celine, you know your own worth." He stared at her, enunciating each word, "In this lifetime, I only recognize Luna." The door slammed shut behind him. But as soon as the door closed, Celine's lips slowly curled into a smile. "Luna won't come back. The one who hurt her the deepest is you, not me." Adrian didn't look back. "Back then, for him, I cut off family ties, bearing the curse of betraying the clan. If he said 1, I never dared say 2. If he frowned, I could stay up all night. If he casually said he wanted something sweet, the next day I'd definitely bring a bowl of warm sugar water. Even if I was hungry myself." 3 hours later. Adrian didn't rush directly into the Fu family, instead, he turned into a restaurant. He went into the kitchen, borrowed the stove. He personally brewed a pot of ginger sugar water, simmering on low heat. Before, when my stomach hurt, I'd always hug a hot water bottle, shrinking in the sofa corner, blinking those pitiful eyes begging him, "Brew me some brown sugar water. Just 1 cup, okay?" Back then, he found it annoying, called me pretentious. But now? Do I still care? Adrian took the car all the way to the Fu family. He even thought of his opening line, "Luna, I've missed you to death." In the Fu family backyard. I stood quietly under the corridor, a man standing beside me. Adrian's heartbeat skipped half a beat. "Luna, I've really missed you to death." Ethan stepped in between, his gaze nailing Adrian's face. "Adrian? Ethan?" Adrian blurted out, remembering that photo on the finance headlines. He stepped forward 2 steps, handing over the thermos, tone gentle. "Luna, do you remember this cup of sugar water? You used to pester me for it every day. Come home with me, stop fussing." I gently squeezed Ethan's hand. Then, looking at Adrian, my eyes like frosted over. "Adrian, I've married Ethan. From now on, you and I are even." Adrian's face turned white instantly. "Luna, I've already lowered my head. What more do you want? I've even given up Celine, is that not enough?" I smiled slightly. "What you pushed away with your own hands was my place in your heart." Adrian reached out to grab my wrist. "Listen to me." Ethan raised his hand, clamping his wrist like iron tongs, immovable. I stepped forward half a step, staring straight at him, throwing the words in my heart at his face one by one. "I once loved you, more than life itself. When you had a cold, I'd stay up all night making porridge. When you worked overtime, I'd stay up waiting for you. Your casual word, I'd treat as an imperial decree, kneeling to receive it. But that amulet, you destroyed it with your own hands. From that day, I'm no longer your guardian. I don't owe you a drop of tears, a bit of affection. From now on, whoever you want to live with, have kids with, I wish you 100 years of harmony, many descendants. Adrian stood in place, like his soul had been drawn out, lips moving but no sound. After a long while, he murmured, as if asking himself, "You really don't love me anymore?" Once, I really liked him a lot. Catching his gaze in a crowd would make my heart jump like it was about to burst out of my chest. In pouring rain at night, squatting downstairs at Celine's house, soaked through waiting for him until dawn. Also, when he was kicked out of home, penniless, I'd stuff all my savings into his hands, without a word of complaint. Yes, I loved him heart and soul, sweetness seeping even into my bone seams. But him? He treated my true heart like a rag, used and thrown away, stepped on until not even dregs remained. The better I treated him, the more he pushed his luck. The more I endured, the more he thought I was easy to manipulate. In the end, it wasn't that I didn't love, I was too lazy even to feel pain. My heart completely cooled, without a shred of hope. The light in Adrian's eyes dimmed bit by bit, lips trembling as he looked at me. "Luna, I really didn't know you'd collapse over this. She's just a temporary playmate, I wasn't serious at all. Once the child is born, I'll arrange for her to leave immediately, never appear in your sight again, okay? Stop fussing, alright?" He still didn't understand. I shook my head, too lazy even to pretend disappointment. "Adrian, that's between you two, don't bother me again. I've married, life moves forward. I won't go back with you, and I beg you not to appear again." "You're talking nonsense. Your life can only have me." Before he finished, everything went black before his eyes, and he collapsed straight to the ground. Emotions exploded, stamina couldn't hold. When he opened his eyes again, it was already deep night. The room was warm and cozy, a bowl of freshly made white porridge on the bedside, steam still curling. He struggled to get up, wanting to go out to find me. But just as he pushed open the door, he saw that scene in the garden. I leaned on Ethan's shoulder, smiling brilliantly. Ethan lowered his head, whispering in my ear. I couldn't help giggling out loud, nestling deeper into his arms. Adrian stood in place, legs like nailed down. With him, I never laughed like this. Never, ever. He shoved the door open, roaring, "Ethan! Let go. She's my wife." Ethan didn't even lift his eyelids, sneering coldly. "Adrian, did you forget to take your medicine? Still not awake from the dream? Luna and I have registered, the marriage certificate is in the drawer. If you still want to live in the past, please roll far away, don't come pollute our home." Adrian looked at me. "Luna, how could you fall in love with someone else so quickly? When you were by my side, had you already planned to marry him?" I didn't wait for him to finish, interrupting directly. "From the day Celine got pregnant, my parents arranged the Fu family marriage for me. Coincidentally, the man was Ethan." Adrian trembled all over. I was preparing to propose to you. How could you marry just like that? If this isn't betrayal, what is?" I sneered, finally unable to hold back. "Why not? Who I marry is my own business, not your favor. Adrian, do you really want to marry me? You know in your heart, which time did you truly put me first?" "Of course I want." He didn't finish, Ethan waved his hand, and 2 bodyguards at the door came directly, dragging him out like a sack. Ethan carried me back to the bedroom. "The doctor said you can't be in the wind now, let alone wander around." In a couple of days, the butler quietly told me, "Adrian hasn't left. He bought an old house in the opposite alley, driving around our house every day. Holding our old photo, staring at the window like a dementia patient." I ignored it. Toward him, I was too lazy even to get angry. He taught me one thing, live for yourself, not in others' faces. Just like that, a few weeks later, the phone rang. It was Celine. I don't know how she got my number. Before she could curse, I spoke first. Quickly take him away, don't look for me again. But she cried breathlessly. Luna, forgive him once. The child can't be without a dad, and he can't be without you. After listening, I hung up with a click. From then on, those two's matters had nothing to do with me. That night, Ethan and I had just finished dinner. As soon as we pushed open the door, the night sky above exploded with colorful lights. Fireworks like splashed ink paintings crackled, covering the entire sky. Adrian knelt in that light, clutching a large bouquet of white roses. The ring flashed dazzlingly in the firelight. Luna, you said kneeling under fireworks to put the ring on you counts as true love. I've done it, give me another chance, okay? My heart trembled. Before, I had indeed told him such a dream. But his reply was always got it at 2 a.m. Too lazy even for a good night. Before I could react, Ethan rushed forward fiercely, kicking him over. Adrian, you still have the face to find her? Roll. If you dare touch her again, I'll make you lie in the hospital for half a year. Adrian fell to the ground, blood flowing from his mouth corner, yet he grinned. What do you know? She's just throwing a tantrum. Once the anger subsides, she'll naturally come back. Ethan was so angry he wanted to add a kick. But he, instead, pulled a knife from his pocket, directly slashing his arm. Blood spurted out. Ethan subconsciously pulled me behind him. My scalp tingled. I quickly shouted, "Don't die here." Dying at the doorstep, what kind of hero is that? At the door, all Ethan's people surrounded densely. And I, looking at this man before me with stubbly face, turbid eyes, couldn't help laughing out loud. Adrian, you're really crazy? Yes, missing you to near death, my brain long turned to mush. He suddenly grabbed my hand, pressed it on his chest, scorching hot, still beating. Luna, I was wrong. Come back, I'll change anything, money, life, face, whatever you want I'll give. Just, don't leave, please. Only then did I see clearly. He was so thin his cheekbones protruded, dark circles like two blobs of ink drawn with charcoal. Just as I wanted to pull my hand, his pocket phone rang. He answered, without speaker. But the crying on the other side was sharp enough to tear eardrums. Adrian. Come quick. They're forcing me to abort. Please. The child is yours. He was silent for a second, then stuffed the phone into my hand. Celine, the matter of you harming Auntie to death, I remember every bit. This child, consider it repaying his debt. From today, if you live, don't let me see you. If you die, I won't shed a tear. The other end was first dead silent. Then, erupted a heartbreaking scream. You're crazy. This is your own flesh and blood. Heaven won't let you go. I shrank back a step. But Adrian instead got closer, fingers gently rubbing my face. Luna, those who hurt you, I've cleaned them all up. Smile for me, okay? I stared at him, asking coldly, what about you? How do you plan to punish yourself? His movement stiffened, eyes fixed on me. Long time, until the fireworks extinguished. He nodded gently. Fine. The ending you want, I'll give you. Adrian finally understood. What he owed me, he couldn't repay in this lifetime. I don't know why he didn't touch me. When I burrowed into Ethan's arms, I never thought to turn back and ask why. The day before marriage, I said to Ethan, I'm no longer that silly girl who brings good luck. If you're really marrying me for that, it's still time to regret now. He smiled and shook his head, gently pinching my fingertip. What I seek was never luck, you are enough. As long as you're here, everything is enough. In his arms, that long-lost stability gradually returned to my heart. To let me recover, and to change places for a fresh start. Ethan said he'd take me abroad for a while, not returning here. But on the day of leaving, he appeared again. Luna. Don't go with him. The always aloof Adrian, covered in blood, clothes torn. Eyes fixed on me. He knelt with a thud. Every time I think of how I treated you, I cut myself with a knife. Now my body is full of cuts. Look, look. Can't you forgive me once? Please, I really didn't think you'd leave. Days without you, living is like dying, even for the sake of past affection. Stay a bit. After saying, he held up that bloodied knife, extending it straight to me. Luna, my heart, my life, take them. If you accept, I'll live. If not, I'll die for you now. This act was truly superb. What were you doing earlier? Only now pretending deep affection? Adrian, your life, I have no interest at all. I don't love you anymore. Even without Ethan, I wouldn't look back at you. Ethan pulled me into his arms in one motion, turned and walked. Just one step, suddenly a gust from behind. Adrian rushed over like crazy, knife tip against my neck. Ethan stiffened instantly, not daring to move. Adrian! Are you crazy? Let go quick. He grinned, spittle splashing my face. Yes. I'm crazy. Ethan, who are you? Luna alive is my person, dead is my ghost. Even in death, I'll drag her to hell with me. Ethan gave an order, several bodyguards beside instantly surrounded. But Adrian was like drunk, face against my ear, murmuring, Luna, holding you tight is so good, so good. I gritted my teeth glaring at him, Adrian, looking at you now, I just want to vomit. He actually still laughed. That's fine, curse me, hate me, no problem, as long as you're by my side. I'm not a lucky star anymore. I said. The knife tip trembled slightly. Because of you, my life's good luck is completely scrapped. How long do you want to harm me? He shook his head crazily, tears streaming down. I really didn't know it would be like this. I didn't mean to hurt you. I really didn't. Sorry, really sorry. At that moment. Bang! Gunshot rang, shocking my eardrums painfully. Adrian's body trembled fiercely, smashing to the ground like a broken kite, shoulder rapidly spreading a large patch of red. Ethan wrapped me tightly in his arms. Scared me to death, Luna, are you okay? Anywhere hurt? My legs went soft. I gently patted his back, coaxing softly. Look, I'm fine, nothing at all. On the ground, Adrian was still twitching, his gaze like hooks, hooking me tightly. But in my eyes, this person was long gone. Later I heard, the Song family was overturned. New boss took over, the entire Song family completely collapsed. As for Adrian? Already in prison, won't come out this lifetime. But those are later stories. At that time, I was already pregnant. Ethan devoured many parenting books in advance. From changing diapers to making baby food, he handled it all alone, more attentive than me, the expectant mom. As for me? Finally, I could peacefully be a lazy person who doesn't need to worry about anything.